I was coaching a pastor recently, and as soon as he got on the call, he said to me, I am exhausted, just worn out. Got three young children, and it's just all too much at the moment. I haven't got much energy. And for the 30-minute coaching appointment, we pretty well just talked around all sorts of various things. I didn't try to get him to take any action or do anything specific or give me any updates or reports. I just kind of helped him unload a bit and helped him move into more of a place of energy. And today, I'm going to teach you how to move from a place of exhaustion to being energized. I'm going to give you one specific step that I want you to take right now, especially if you're feeling exhausted or overwhelmed. Lastly, I'm going to point you to a resource that can help you avoid burnout, help move you from exhaustion to being energized. So here's 7 things I want to give you, 7 steps you can take. And I wanted you to take one of these steps to really boost your emotional energy, boost your physical resources, your mental resources, your spiritual life in a way that moves you from a place of being tired, maybe overwhelmed, maybe exhausted, and you tuned in today because you think, man, I just resonate with this topic so much. So here's 7 steps to move you from exhaustion to being energized. The first one is clear your diary. Whenever I've found that I'm overwhelmed and feeling tired, run down, exhausted, I get out my calendar, my diary, and I have a look at the next 2 weeks. And I look at the things that I can postpone, the projects that if I pause them for 2 weeks, it's really not going to matter that much. The people that I could ring or text and say, hey, can we meet next week, not this week? That meeting that seems so important when I set it up, you know what? We can postpone that for a week or two. Not that you want to be doing that as a regular habit, but when you're exhausted and overwhelmed, you need to take concrete action to move yourself to a place of energy. And I found clearing my diary, putting into my diary a whole section called downtime, day off, 2 days off, go to a cafe time, 3 hours, go for a walk, go to the gym, put something into the diary that I know is going to move me from exhaustion into a place of energy and strength. So, first step, clear your diary, check out your diary. Second step is do something that will boost your emotional energy. What's something that moves you really rapidly from feeling depleted to feeling refueled? For me, that can be as simple as a walk. If I go for a walk and I walk along down near the beach, now where we live, if I go for a nice walk and I feel the fresh air, the salt air, if I see the water, and I just go for sometimes not a physical energy walk, not a exercise walk, but a stroll. I'll just go strolling for 30, 40 minutes. I'll grab a chair along the way and sit down for a little bit and just think. I'll get some thought to prayer and maybe pull up even a scripture verse. Maybe sometimes just think about my life, just think about what I enjoy doing. But just that strolling, walking, leisurely pace, I know it'll refuel me in 30 minutes. What refuels you in 30 minutes? Maybe it's pulling up YouTube and watching a funny episode of a show that you like. Maybe it's going to the movies for a couple of hours, sitting in the dark with your popcorn, your drink, and just enjoying that movie, even by yourself. Years ago, I used to love going to the movies. Don't go much these days, but I love going to the movies by myself. I'd sit in the dark on my day off and just enjoy that alone time, just me and saturated in the movie. It energized me. Various times I've loved my photography and I grab my camera and I go searching for places and pictures and people to take some photos and just immerse myself in something that moved me from exhaustion to energy. What's thing that boosts your emotional energy? Jump into it. Third one is look at my sleep habits. I know when I'm drifting to bed later and tossing and turning and not having a great night's sleep, I know I get a hold of myself and say, John, off to bed, go to bed. When you know it's that moment, that moment in the evening when you just know, you know what, I need to go to bed. To obey that prompt from your body, to obey that move that's in your physical system that's saying, you're done, you're cooked. Now, that Netflix episode wants you to push through that feeling. No, you can stay another half an hour. You can do another episode, even just half an episode. And you know that temptation to stay up that extra half an hour, that extra hour, and you know what? You pay for it the next day. Now, maybe when you're young, you can get away with that, but as you get 40, 45 plus, you start to feel that edge of not enough sleep. And I think just listen to your body around your sleep patterns. The fourth way is eat some healthy food. Get rid of that junk food. Get rid of that sugar. Just decide for 2 days, I'm not going to eat rubbish food. I'm going to eat some great vegetables. I'm going to eat some great salads. I'm going to get some good protein into me. I'm going to grill up a nice steak. I can get some chicken, some fish, some great seafood. I'm just going to eat well. I'm going to leave the ice cream alone. I'm going to leave the chocolates and all those other sweet things, those lovely cookies and biscuits I love to devour. Just going to leave them alone for 2 days, just 48 hours. I'm just going to bring a level of self-control. You might need to pray into this, say, Jesus, help me have some self-control. But I'm going to shift into a time of healthy food eating. Now, if you're enjoying the content, please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. Now, with all these different steps that I'm sharing, we're up to number 4 out of 7 I want to share. You may want to bring in a buddy, an accountability partner. I like the phrase buddy because it doesn't sound as daunting as an accountability partner. But you might want to ring a mate, a friend, someone, and text them and say, hey, I'm really trying to boost my emotional energy. I'm trying to adjust my sleep habits. I'm trying to eat healthier food. Can you just hold me accountable for the next 3 days? Just text me every day and see how I go. You can actually get apps that you can actually connect people to. There's an app called that I utilize called Sticker that you connect your friends to. They get an email that tells them how you're going. If you want to get to that level, you can get to that level. But it might be just a friend that you say, hey, ask me every day for the next 3 days how I'm going with my sleep. How am I going with my eating habits? It just sharpens you up when you know you're going to have to say to a friend, yep, I avoided the ice cream last night. I really wanted a bowl of ice cream at 9 o'clock, but I didn't do it. I'm feeling better for it. And the fact that you bring that friend into the place of vulnerability and transparency, it'll just boost your friendship and it'll make you aware of the fact that sometimes you can't do it by yourself. You can't move from exhaustion to being energized. You actually need some help. Okay, the 5th step to move from exhaustion to being energized is move. Get physical movement going. I talked before about strolling, a leisurely walk. Maybe you need to go for a run. Maybe you need to go for a swim. Maybe go to the gym. Maybe go for a fast walk where you really get that heart pounding, get that movement going. There is no doubt that there's something about investing physical movement into your body actually gives you a return, strangely enough, paradoxically enough, of energy. You kind of think, I am too exhausted to do any exercise. Well, maybe get your buddy to help you here and say, hey, why don't you meet me and we'll go for an exercise walk together. I want you to walk with me. We'll have a chat. We can have a little prayer time, but just have a general chat. Go for a 30-minute walk and sweat, and we'll walk to a cafe and have a nice coffee to celebrate. No cakes at the cafe. We'll just have coffee and we'll get some sweat going. We'll get some movement going, because I find that when I'm lacking physical energy and emotional energy, actually, strangely as it may seem, utilizing energy out actually increases my emotional energy, my mental energy. It seems a contradiction, a paradox, but I find it works for me. Number 6 is catch up with a friend. I think even if you're introverted, to actually withdraw too much from people when you're exhausted can be counterproductive. And actually, you can move into a place of being far too withdrawn and it's all looking inward, and there's too much overthinking and you're trying to work things out by yourself. I think when you're exhausted, just to go to a friend, say, can we catch up? And just say, look, I want you to know that I am just super tired at the moment. I'm just feeling run down. And I just need to tell someone who loves me and cares for me. And it actually might be your spouse, who obviously is your best friend in your life. It might be your spouse that you share it with, and they probably already have noticed anyway, but sharing it with them, getting it out of here, out of your mind, out of your heart, out of your soul, into the air and into someone else's headspace. And it's not that you're looking for advice. You may not be even looking for that buddy accountability, but there is power in moving stuff out of here into the air and into someone else's space. And it may be as you're talking, you say, look, what would you recommend? If you're the guru coach and looking at me tired and exhausted, what questions would you ask me? What advice would you give me? And your conversation may wend that way. It may not. You may not want it to. But I think just being vulnerable with a friend can really lower it. I remember often, pretty well every year with my staff, a couple of months before my annual vacation, my annual holidays, I would tell my staff, look, I'm coming to the end of my 12 months of working. We'd take our holidays generally around November. And around September, I'd say to them, look, I've had a huge year as normally I do. I'm tired. I'm probably a bit grumpy. You may or may not have noticed. They would all nod. Yes, they've noticed. I'm not totally worn out, but I'm just tired from laboring over the last 12 months. And so give me some space, give me some grace, be kind to me. If I get too grumpy, wave a flag, let me know. I'll learn to back up and back off. But I found just sharing that relieved me to some degree and also was honest. I think honesty helps actually. The stress in our bodies from overtiredness, just to be honest, say, look, I got limitations and I'm hitting those limitations right now. The seventh step, we've talked through a whole range of steps. Clear your diary, boost your emotional energy by doing something you really enjoy, adjust those sleep habits, eat some healthy food for 48 hours, move, catch up with a friend. What's the last one? Talk to your coach. Now, one of the things that I do find quite surprising in church world is that the majority of pastors never have a coach. Now, in Australia, where I'm from, with sporting teams, my grandsons are in different teams, various sporting activities, cricket, football, various things, t-ball, all sorts of different things. We would never think in underage sport for children and young people, we would never think for them to play without a coach. It's totally normative. Even from like under sevens football, they have to have a coach to help them learn the game and do the game better. Yet in church world, we think it's strange that pastors don't have a coach. And if you think this is just a shameless plug for my coaching, well, you could be right, but maybe not, because I have limited capacity to coach pastors. I already coach dozens of pastors every year, so I'm not trying to hunt down more pastors to coach. But I do want to encourage you, if you're a church leader, if you're an elder in a church, you're on a board, you're a department leader in your church, encourage your church to pay for your pastor to get a coach. Encourage your pastor to go out and find a coach and for the church to cover the fees for that. You find that getting a coach will help prevent your pastor going into exhaustion, going into burnout. It will help move them into a place of greater energy, of greater connection with all that they're doing. So there you go. 7 steps to move from exhaustion to energy. And I want to give you one resource to leave. Down in the description below, you'll find a link to my book, 27 Ways to Avoid Burnout. This is an extremely practical book that I've written to help pastors get more energy into the world. Link is in the description below. Grab the book. I think you'll love it. It's extremely practical, very short. You'll love it. God bless you as you get into that resource.